So here's something I heard from a guy I used to work with, and it honestly stayed with me for years. It's one of those stories where you think it's going to go one way, and then it completely flips on you. And even when you reach the end, you're not sure which parts you believe and which parts you just want to forget. It doesn't feel like a story so much as a secret that no one wants to admit was ever real. It's about a woman named Holly, early 30s, lived somewhere outside of Portland, had a young son, married, worked part-time at a local non-profit that dealt with wildlife rehabilitation. She wasn't someone you'd pick out of a crowd. Regular clothes, modest car, tidy yard, nothing flashy. But everyone who knew her would say the same thing. She was grounded, a steady presence, the kind of person who brought cookies to staff meetings and always remembered birthdays. Nothing too dramatic, just one of those regular, dependable lives. Good neighborhood, school runs, grocery lists on the fridge, family dinners with mismatched plates. The kind of life where everyone knows your name at the local coffee shop. The kind of life where surprises don't really happen. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, she was driving back home from picking up some educational supplies for her son's school project. She got into a car accident, minor, just a side swipe from a delivery van that didn't brake fast enough at a stoplight. She hit her head, but not badly. Paramedics showed up, checked her vitals, asked her a few questions. She was alert, responsive. No major injuries, nothing that would raise alarm. She even laughed a little with the EMT who offered her a bottle of water. They told her to go home and rest. But when she got home later that night, she couldn't remember anything from about noon to the moment just after the accident. 4 or 5 hours, completely blank. Not even fragments. She could recall everything before that morning. Her breakfast, the errand list, the podcast she was listening to. But everything from about midday onward was gone. Like someone had gone in and quietly erased a tape. No static, no distortion, just clean silence. It wasn't like forgetting your keys or a dream. It was a void. And the more she tried to reach into it, the more resistance she felt, like a wall built specifically to keep something out, or in. At first, it seemed like no big deal. Her husband, Ryan, told her it was probably just a mild concussion. The doctor confirmed something similar. Transient memory loss, not uncommon after minor head trauma. She was told to rest, hydrate, avoid screens for a few days. Maybe take some light walks, so she did. Life went back to normal, or at least it pretended to. But she started noticing things. Little things at first. Her son, who was usually all hugs and questions, became quieter around her. Her best friend Liz, who texted every day without fail, suddenly didn't write for nearly a week. When Holly finally reached out, Liz responded warmly, but a little too carefully, like she was choosing her words one by one, like she was afraid of saying the wrong thing. Holly noticed she had started hesitating before answering calls. Then there was Ryan. Something in his demeanor had shifted. He was gentler, more patient, more attentive, but in a way that felt forced, like he was overcorrecting for something. He started suggesting that they take a weekend trip, just the two of them. He'd never done that before, not once in nearly a decade of marriage. He started leaving sticky notes with small compliments. Love your laugh. Thanks for dinner. Sweet, yes, but oddly timed. He even bought flowers on a random Thursday. She told herself maybe the accident had just rattled them both. But the feeling grew. She'd walk into a room and feel like a conversation had just stopped. She began to retrace her steps from the day of the accident. What store had she gone to? Who did she see? Did she buy anything? She checked her bank transactions. Only one charge from a gas station that day. Nothing else. No grocery store, no school supply place. She thought she remembered going to an art supply store, but there was no receipt. No one remembered seeing her there. She even called the store. The manager was polite but clear. They had no record of her. She asked Ryan about it again. He just said, "You probably didn't get that far. You were driving around, maybe got turned around, then the accident happened." He said it like he'd rehearsed it, like he'd practiced being casual. He even smiled a little when he said it, like he was trying to sell her comfort. She nodded but didn't believe him. Then one night her son had a nightmare. She went to calm him, and he mumbled something in half sleep. Something about mommy yelling in the parking lot. Holly froze. She asked him the next day what he meant, and he said he didn't know. He didn't remember saying it. Said maybe it was just a dream. But Holly felt a pressure in her chest that didn't ease, a weight that stayed with her the whole day. She couldn't let it go. So she started calling around, police departments, hospitals. She asked if her name had come up that day in any reports aside from the accident. Nothing. She called the 911 dispatch center. They said she'd only been logged once, by the paramedics after the crash. No earlier calls, no flagged incidents. It was like she'd never existed in that window of time. But then she checked her phone back up. It had been reset after the accident. Ryan had done it, supposedly on the advice of the doctor, to help avoid screen-induced headaches. But when she restored what she could from the cloud, she found a single unsent draft message in her notes app. The timestamp? Exactly 2 hours before the accident. It said, "I need to tell someone. I think something's wrong. Ryan." And then it stopped. Just that. Just those few lines. Like she was trying to leave herself a breadcrumb. A flare fired into the void. A message in a bottle thrown overboard at the last moment. She confronted Ryan about it. He said he had no idea what it meant. Claimed she must have written it under stress. That she'd been acting oddly all week. That maybe this was some delayed reaction to the crash. She stared at him for a long time. Something in his eyes made her stomach twist. He didn't look scared, he looked prepared. Too prepared. Like he'd anticipated this moment and had a script ready. She called Liz again. Really pressed her this time. Liz paused. Said she wasn't sure she should say anything. That Holly had seemed upset that afternoon. That she'd called from her car, crying, saying she needed to come over. That she'd parked outside Liz's house but never came in. Liz saw her through the window, pacing, talking on the phone. Then she drove off. Liz said she thought maybe Holly had changed her mind. That wasn't in any call logs. Holly asked what time that was. Liz gave her a time, 3:47 p.m. The accident had happened at 4:05. There was less than 20 minutes between the last time someone saw her and when she supposedly crashed. That short window suddenly felt like an abyss. Holly went back to the intersection, looked around. It was near a storage facility, a diner, and a hardware store. She walked from place to place, asking if anyone remembered her. Most people didn't, but the woman at the diner recognized her. Said she came in agitated, used the restroom, then left in a rush. That was minutes before the crash. She'd asked for a pen, scribbled something on a napkin, then tore it up. She asked if they had cameras. The woman shrugged, said they didn't save recordings longer than 30 days. It had been 31. That night, Holly didn't sleep. She sat in the dark with the notebooks from her nonprofit job, but didn't read them. She just turned them over in her hands, again and again. She realized something then, not about Ryan or Liz or her son, about herself, about what it meant to know something without knowing why, about the price of doubt, the cost of silence. She didn't want to know. Whatever she'd forgotten, whatever had happened in those missing hours, it was gone now, and maybe it was safer that way. Safer for her marriage, for her son, for her sanity, because if she kept digging, she might not like what she found, and she might not be able to live with it. Sometimes knowing is worse, but sometimes, in the very early morning, she would wake up with her heart pounding. She'd hear a sound, glass breaking, a door creaking, a voice saying her name, and sit bolt upright, certain it was happening again. Whatever it was, she still didn't know what she'd meant to write that day. "I think something's wrong, Ryan." Maybe she'd never meant to finish it. Maybe she already had. And maybe, somewhere in that silence, was the answer she never dared to ask for. Thank you for listening. Until the next heartbeat in a story, subscribe and stay for more love in every word.